Over the last year, I have stood on dozens of picket lines with thousands of workers. Decent people, hard-working people, people like you, like me, like millions of other working people out there up and down the country, forced to take strike action to get a decent pay rise, to pay the bills, to make ends meet. And I want to start this special Congress with a message to each and every one of those workers. To the physios at St Thomas's, the paramedics in Liverpool, Newcastle and Lewisham, the rail workers at King's Cross, Lime Street and Piccadilly, the university lecturers, civil servants, teachers. Today, this movement resolves we will fight to defend your right to strike. Delegates, welcome to Congress House, the home of the trade union movement. This is a place where generations of trade unionists have gathered, not just to pass resolutions or debate points of law, but to set out in concrete terms what we can do to stand for working people. And here we are once again facing yet another set of laws designed to silence the voices of workers. The Strikes Act could, put simply, take away the right to strike from 5.5 million people, 1 in 5 British workers. It's unfair, it's undemocratic. Congress, it is unfit to be on the statute book. The right to strike, to withdraw your labour, is a cornerstone of our democracy, of any democracy. No one wants to go on strike. It's something you're forced to do when your boss threatens your job or your safety at work or won't give you a decent pay rise. Going on strike is a basic protection that working people have relied on for generations. But today, we've got a Tory government that feels threatened by that basic protection, threatened by the organised working class, threatened by workers having the temerity to stand up. And their response? Reach out for that old Thatcherite playbook, slap more restrictions on unions, bully working people into keeping quiet. Congress, let us be clear. We won't be quiet, we won't be bullied, and we won't be intimidated by this government. We're here today because successive Conservative governments made our public services pick up the bill for the bankers' crash. We're here today because they promised to build back better after the pandemic, and then they stood by while millions suffered through a cost of living crisis. And we are here today because just last year, this Tory government crashed our economy and then told us it was the fault of workers wanting a pay rise. Congress, no more lies, no more excuses, no more scapegoats. It's time for the Prime Minister to take responsibility, time for him to stand down, and time to call a general election. Now, in this movement, everything we do is built on solidarity. Standing together is the only way we win. So let me be clear. I expect, you expect, an incoming Labour government to repeal this spiteful legislation. That's what the leader and the deputy leader have said in private and in public. Yeah. But we can't just wait for an election. We have to decide what we're doing as a movement right now to fight this legislation. Now, you wouldn't expect me to talk tactics here in public, where ministers and employers and their lawyers can hear, so I won't. But I will tell you this. If they come for one worker, if they come for one union, they will face us all. Yeah. As a young trade union activist, one of the first things I learned was that you don't cross a picket line. And no matter what laws they pass or how they threaten us, this movement is not in the business of telling any worker to cross a picket line. Now, as I said earlier, this year I have had the privilege of standing alongside thousands of workers all over the UK. I actually found myself standing on a picket line at my old secondary school with my former history teacher, proud NEU member, Mr. McKibben. But tell you what, not one of the workers I talked to was glib about taking strike action. Not least the clinical support workers I met on the Wirral. 700 of them, mainly women. Clinical support workers, they take your blood, they monitor your heart rate, they test your urine. Crucial work. NHS Band 3 work, but for years paid as Band 2. They went on strike to end years of underpayment, and they won. But something happened one of those days on the picket line. Nearby, on the M53, there was a fatal coach crash. 2 people tragically died. And as one, those clinical support workers decided to leave the picket line because they knew they might be needed. Their first concern, their overriding concern, their only concern was keeping people safe. None of those workers need a lesson in public safety from Conservative ministers. Firefighters, ambulance crew, nurses, rail staff, clinical support workers on the Wirral and all over the country. They're the ones who know about public safety, they're the ones who care about public safety, and they're the ones who keep the public safe. That's their job. That's their vocation. And when they're needed, it's trade union members, not ministers in Whitehall, who run to help. So I say this to the Tory government. If you don't want strikes, you know what to do. Pay us fairly. Treat us fairly. Invest in our public services and fix the mess that you've created. So Congress, here today, let's resolve. We will defy their ban on strikes. We will overturn this unjust law, and we will win for workers. Solidarity, Congress.